Hello and welcome back. I'm glad you've decided to join us. This is my podcast. I probably should give it a name. I think I have one. I don't remember, but my name's Brandon Cunningham. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate you finding us and checking it out. I highly suggest you go back and read or watch the videos to kind of understand what we're doing and how we got here. But today we are jumping into chapter 9 of Genesis, which is lesson 11. So you've gotten through 11 lessons so far, and I'm really enjoying this. There's a lot of fun to reading the Bible together with other people because you get to ask questions and learn. It's very important that you ask questions. Don't assume that everything I'm telling you is the only explanation or even the right explanation. I'm going to get things wrong. But your questions help me find out what you want to know too. So you can email me at gbrandonc@gmail.com or just comment on the post and I'll try to get to your question as quick as I can. Please share and tell other people about this. This helps them learn how to read the Bible. It is free to subscribe. You can give a membership to someone else or yourself if you want to. It's $50 a year. That would be great. It helps me keep this going and potentially someday get my own jet. So, let's do that. I don't have any corporate sponsors, but I'd be happy to entertain a few. So today we're going to jump into Genesis chapter 9, and I'm reading from the Immersed Bible. I say that every time, but people ask sometimes, or the Complete Jewish Bible. I like both, and we'll talk about some different versions and translations as we go along. So let's read chapter 9 of Genesis. Then God blessed Noah and his sons and told them, be fruitful and multiply, fill the earth. All the animals on the earth, all the birds of the sky, all the small animals that scurry along the ground, and all the fish in the sea will look on you with fear and terror. I have placed them in your power. I have given them to you for food, just as I have given you grain and vegetables. But you must never eat any meat that still has the lifeblood in it, and I will require the blood of anyone who takes another person's life. If a wild animal kills a person, it must die, and anyone who murders a fellow human must die. If anyone takes a human life, that person's life will also be taken by human hands. For God made human beings in our own image. Now be fruitful and multiply and repopulate the earth. So, something so simple God said, we ignore and we keep people in prison for decades because we think that's more compassionate, but really we're just being disobedient. Then God told Noah and his sons, I hereby confirm my covenant with you and your descendants, and with all the animals that were on the boat with you, the birds, the livestock, and all the wild animals, every living creature on earth. Yes, I am confirming my covenant with you. Never again will flood waters kill all living creatures. Never again will a flood destroy the earth. Then God said, I am giving you a sign of my covenant with you, with you and with all living creatures for all generations to come. I have placed my rainbow in the clouds. It is the sign of my covenant with you and all the earth. When I send clouds over the earth, the rainbow will appear in the clouds, and I will remember my covenant with you and with all the living creatures. Never again will the floodwaters destroy all life. When I see the rainbow in the clouds, I will remember the eternal covenant between God and every living creature on earth. Then God said to Noah, yes, this rainbow is the sign of the covenant I am confirming with all the creatures on earth. The sons of Noah who came out of the boat with their father were Shem, Ham, and Japheth. From these three sons of Noah came all the people who now populate the earth. After the flood, Noah began to cultivate the ground, and he planted a vineyard. One day he drank some of the wine he had made, and he became drunk and lay naked inside his tent. Ham, the father of Canaan, saw that his father was naked and went outside and told his brothers. Then Shem and Japheth took a robe, held it over their shoulders, backed into the tent to cover their father. And as they did this, they looked the other way so they would not see him naked. When Noah woke up from his stupor, he learned what Ham, his youngest son, had done. Then he cursed Canaan, the son of Ham. May Canaan be cursed. May he be the lowest of the servants to his relatives. Then Noah said, may the Lord, the God of Shem, be blessed, and may Canaan be his servant. May God expand the territory of Japheth. May Japheth share the prosperity of Shem, and may Canaan be his servant. Noah lived another 350 years after the great flood. He lived 950 years and then he died. So that's another good reminder that this is not a day to day journal, because the activity of somebody who lives 950 years would take a lot of pages. So we probably wouldn't even want to read that, much less learn too much from it. But uh, so the new history of man begins. In verse 18, just as Adam was the beginning of all mankind, now this is the new Adam, Noah. So let's list a few attributes of this God pattern. This is how we learn things. God is all about patterns. So Adam was made dominant over all creation. Noah was made dominant over the purified world. Adam was blessed and told to be fruitful and multiply. So was Noah. Adam fell by eating the fruit. Noah fell by eating or drinking of the fruit. Adam's sin resulted in a curse placed onto man. Noah's sin resulted in a curse on the line of Ham. Adam had three sons. Seth was in the line of righteousness, through which the Messiah would come. Noah had three sons. Shem was in the line of righteousness, through which the Messiah would come. So that line continued that way. So we are introduced to the three lines from which every human comes, the three sons of Noah. So Noah was just a man. He had flaws. He was not perfect by any means. And that's what's so great about God's word, is it doesn't sanitize the people that God uses. He uses real people, just like me and just like you. So if you're perfect, you probably won't be used by God. So for some reason, Ham enters the tent of Noah. Noach is Noah's name in Hebrew. Noah is the English version of it. So when Noah wakes up, he's angry. Why is Noah so upset? And why did his grandson Canaan get this curse? Well, there are two likely crimes that Ham committed here first. First is dishonoring his father. Uh, Rather than show him respect by covering him and then keeping quiet about it, he went and told his brothers and kind of got a kick out of it. And the principles laid down here. Noah deserved to be honored because he was Ham's father, and because God called Noah uh, Zadok. He was righteous in his sight. Zadok is righteous in Hebrew. Um, so if God thought Noah was righteous, that's the end of the matter. Ham should have pointed out, or shouldn't have pointed out his father's sin to his brothers. He should have honored that. Now, the second crime, and this may bother you a little bit because it applies to all of us, is, and this is just my own theory, is that he may have committed a crime called Lashon Hara. And Lashon Hara is in Hebrew is speaking evil of someone. It's usually in the form of gossip. So if you speak evil of someone, and some people, well, I would never do anything like that. But the president is terrible, or the coach of this team is, or my neighbor is this. We're speaking ill of people when we gossip. That is an actual crime in Hebrew society, lashon hara. So that is a big deal. And my theory is God did not appreciate that, so he punished him for it. Canaan was named as the cursed one, likely because he would have more to do with Israel's uh, life history than any other descendant of Ham. That's why God picked him. So a blessing is a beneficial thing, and a cursing is a judgment. And you may be thinking, well, duh, but not everybody understands that concept. Uh, so just as people who were born into the line of blessing did nothing to warrant that, uh, the people born into the line of a curse did nothing to warrant that necessarily. The people that came from Ham's sons became predominantly the races of Africa, who have been for centuries suffered through slavery. So they have clearly lived under this curse. The idea is that the descendants of Canaan, and actually all of Ham, will be subject to the descendants of Shem and Japheth, because of the way the structure goes and the way the Messiah is going to come. This all plays out that way. The people of Egypt came from Ham, so did the Philistines. Blessed be Adonai, the God of Shem, and Canaan shall be their slave. It indicates that while Shem will follow God, Ham's descendants will choose another direction. But what we have here is also indicating that Shem's ancestors will carry the authority of Noah's family. I know this gets a little complex and complicated. You might want to benefit from a notebook taking some little notes, but all of these lines will matter as we move forward. That's why this preliminary information. You got to learn math before you can learn algebra, before you can learn calculus. That's the way this works. So, the rulership of mankind was handed to him by Noah in this blessing in Shem's family. So, just as Adam was preeminent over all other men, so was Noah, in essence, the king of the world following the flood. He was the main guy. So, he was the head of the only family that existed, too. So, it's kind of easy to be in charge. But he chose to hand over that power to Shem. God is called Shem's God, indicating a linkage, a relationship between Shem and Yahweh. Yahweh is God's actual personal name we won't get for a little while, but that is his actual name. So Shem would become the Hebrews, the Arabs, and most of the Orientals. So when it says, may God enlarge Japhet and let him dwell in the tents of Shem and let Canaan be his servant, this blessing was somewhat dependent on his relationship with Shem. Japhet would have to work with him. And the descendants of Japhet would benefit when they were in good relations with Shem, which is the meaning of shall dwell in the tents of Shem. When they're in good standing, they work well together. So Japhet was the branch which would enlarge, that is, in population and in wealth. Japhet is the ancestor of the Romans, the Greeks, and most of the European peoples who are ancestors to the American colonists. So I would say they did enlarge, expand, and populate the world. So in no time in history has such wealth and fruitfulness been seen in Rome, then in Europe, then in America, and it all has to do with this blessing right here. When you think about the enormous wealth that's available today, it all comes from this blessing. That's where the branch kind of started out. So understanding the firstborn blessing is also helpful. That's something that we'll talk about a lot in the coming chapters and books. The firstborn gets all the power and the bulk of the family's wealth. His siblings are now under his authority. It's a real, literal thing. In the typical firstborn blessing, the authority and wealth goes to the same son. But Noah's blessing, Shem received the authority and Japheth the wealth. So fast forward several hundred years, Jacob and his 12 sons he's on his deathbed and he's got his 12 sons around him. This is in Genesis 49. We're a little ways away from that. But Jacob declares Judah, his fourth son, the firstborn. And Jacob goes against all tradition and splits the firstborn blessing. He gives his family's authority to Judah, where we get the tribe of Judah, Jews, where the Messiah comes from. And he gives the family's wealth to Joseph. Noah did set the destinies of all the people in the world with this. Jacob set the stage for the Messiah and the taking of the gospel to the whole world through Joseph's family. That's where all of this is going to kind of come out in chapter 48. We'll see it. Canaan, son of Ham, is the founder of the land of Canaan, the land that God said, take away. So the Canaanites would bow down to the Israelites, Shem's descendants. And Noah's prophetic blessing set all of this into motion. It all started right there in Genesis chapter 9. So I hope that showed you some things maybe you hadn't seen before. And I hope you join us next time as we jump into Genesis chapter 10. God bless. Take care.